All right, go for it.
Good morning, everyone. It is the notorious, glorious V, the Guerrilla Economist, coming to you live with my main man, El Cuco. And we'll give you the news, the views, and all the information important to you. Check us out, roguemoney.net. Follow us on Twitter at The Rogue Money and The Rogue Money and DTube, Steam it. Facebook, every single podcasting app known to humanity. We're everywhere you want us to be, plus a bag of chips. Check out our sponsors, mycbdedibles.com. mycbdedibles.com. As I speak to you, I'm enjoying my almond coconut truffles. It's oh so delicious. I love my chocolate peanut butter Buckeyes. And let me not get started about the granola. It is off the chain. It is amazing. It is absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. And so check it out. My CBD Edibles. Place an order today. See, is there any special still going on?
Yeah, any order, receive our Cbd Terpene Mints, which is like a $14.99 value.
Oh, I love those.
So they're great. They're great mints. They're only like 5 milligrams of CBD, and they have terpenes in them as well. So it's great, especially if you have heartburn. If you suffer from heartburn, if you take these, after eating that, it'll really help it. So anyway, yeah. So get a free bag of CBD mints with any purchase.
Yep, absolutely, man. And I'm looking forward to it, bro. I love those terpene mints. I'm going to order me a few. Folks, check it out. mycbdedibles.com. mycbdedibles.com. And also check out the cryptoschool.io. The cryptoschool.io. Check them out. Amazing work that we've done over at the Crypto School, from curriculum to understanding of how the crypto markets work to the trading room. It is absolutely lit, as the young people would say. It's lit over there at the cryptoschool.io and remaincalm.net. Remaincalm.net. Don't freak out. Remain calm. Whether you are facing bankruptcy, you got debt collectors coming, you have collections agencies knocking on your door, waving the 4-4. Kick all the banksters in the nuts. Get a hold of remaincalm.net and let these guys make it happen for you with their asset protection programs. With that being said, also, guys, if you're in cryptocurrencies, you got more than 5K or more, and you're looking to liquidate, you want to get out of there, but you're scared of using Coinbase, Kraken, because you don't want to be reported upon. You don't want to be, snitched. Check out liquidbase.io. Liquidbase.io, where we get to liquidate, where liquidity is the product. Liquidity is the product over at liquidbase.io. See, you got to put all this stuff in the description box, man.
Yeah, before the show starts. Yeah.
I have it locked in, so every morning it's there waiting for us.
I think I'm gonna go back and listen to it, because I think I said the same thing yesterday.
You're tired of saying all these things. I'm getting tired of repeating these websites over and over again. Oh yeah, liquidbase.io, folks. Liquidbase.io. Use the power of gold to free your cryptos. Use the power of LBMA Gold to deliver you the liquidity that you deserve, bypassing every single jurisdictional authority, all the while meeting every single WTO and world regulation and laws and guidelines. Sign up over at Liquidbase. Go through their KYC process to make sure that you're not an international terrorist or a money launderer, and then we will take you on board, and we will do the entire process for you. Liquidbase.io. That is my brainchild, my magnum opus. I created it. Go check it out. Liquidbase.io. Hey, do you know that Reuters did a massive interview with me? It's going to be released pretty soon.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. No, I didn't. I didn't know that. Yeah, I think you shared that with me. I just haven't caught it. You'll have to let us know when it's going to be released, V.
And they're using my real name, CJ. Oh my God.
Crap just got real, V. Better watch out. Watch out.
What does it mean? Does it mean the gorilla will be coming out of the economist?
I'm glad you said economist and not the closet.
Yeah, that'd be a problem if I came out of the closet. That'd be an issue. Maybe I get more freedom and rights if I do that. Maybe I would be. Yeah, I mean, seriously, like, think about it. I can come out as a gay guy who identifies as a female gorilla, and I can be Muslim. That's the ultimate checklist right there for immunity in the liberal mindset, bro.
There you go. It's a get out of jail free card. There you go,
dude. If I do that, if I come out as a gay transgendered man who thinks he's a gorilla, and a Muslim, I've moonshotted myself ahead of Milo Yiannopoulos. Milo has to be more creative than just a gay.
Milo has nothing on you.
Milo would have nothing on me. He'd be second class. The liberals wouldn't know how to attack me. You know, you're being anti-Simeon. You mean anti-Semitic? No, anti-Simeon.
Right, and it's fine if you are. I mean, again, I don't judge. It's just, some of these policies, some of these social whatever. It just doesn't need to be forced and jammed down our throats 24/7, and we don't have to live in a all-inclusive society all the time. We can have differences of opinion, and I think we talked about that numerous times.
Oh yeah. Hey man, speaking of which, it's it's Harvard, and Harvard's it's that time of year in Harvard where they have hold on one second.
Okay.
Hold on, I got a text message here.
Dun,
so anyway,
dun, dun.
Harvard this year is that time of season where the vaunted institution of higher learning is rolling out their annual conference for students and the student body called What in the Butt. Did you know that, CJ?
What in the butt? No, I've never heard of it.
What in the butt?
Interesting.
Yeah. Guess what it's all about? It is a 2 or 3 day workshop focused entirely on the virtues of anal sex.
Nice.
This is what Harvard has come down to. The founders of Harvard, which coincidentally was founded as a Christian university, are turning over in their graves. So this is where the tuition costs, the $50,000-$60,000 a year at Harvard, and spending $5 million in their endowments is getting you. You are going to take a course with the finest college professors on what in the butt. It's ridiculous, dude. Like, you think China or Russia's or India's or Korea's top engineering and top universities teach such courses? No.
I'm excited to hear what Gus thinks about this class.
What in the butt? It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Anyway, man, speaking of things of higher learning and some of the shenanigans we got going on over here, we have shenanigans going on elsewhere. Massive battle for southwest Syria could trigger U.S.-Israeli intervention. This has long been the wet dream of the Zionists and long been the wet dream of the neocons. These are the two factions of the same psychopathic army. The long-awaited Battle of Daraa has begun, despite repeated warnings issued to the Syrian government from the U.S. not to extend its military campaign to the country's south, where conflict first began with a fierce anti-Assad protest in 2011, and then quickly spiraled into violence. Oh, that's where it began, CJ. That's where it began in 2011. There were protests. Gee, I wonder who started that nonsense, huh? I wonder who. Fighting began Tuesday night as the Army's elite Tiger forces assaulted an airbase in northeast Daraa, which had been under jihadist control, namely the U.S.-backed FSA, Southern Front Group, and the allied Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, formerly Nusra al-Qaeda. These guys keep changing their names, CJ. I can't even keep up. You don't hear anything about ISIS anymore. Now it's FSA, Free Syrian Army. They're not free. They're not Syrian. They're no army. It's a terror group made up of a conglomerate of different Muslims, radical jihadis from various parts of the Islamic world. And they all stuck them there, and they call themselves the Free Syrian Army. There's nothing free and nothing Syrian about these idiots. And now the former terror group known as Al-Nusra is now Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Man, I need to keep a running Rolodex going here, Siege. A running Rolodex of all these terror groups and all the names they change after they're being obliterated. They reinvent themselves. After liberating the base, government forces are now pounding opposition-controlled towns with artillery fire, which have for years been a hotbed of Al-Qaeda and ISIS terror insurgency. The army and the allied forces, including the reportedly included Hezbollah special forces units, have penetrated deep the Al-Qanitira Daraa governorates, where a massive campaign is expected to begin at any moment for the final push to take control of the entire southwest. President Bashar al-Assad has vowed in recent interviews to liberate every inch of sovereign Syrian territory, and he is completely, under every single international law and guideline, fully allowed to do that. He is doing the right thing of returning the territorial integrity of his country, which is problematic to the U.S. deep state. As a 2015 former acting director of the CIA, Michael Morrell directly told the Israeli public during the tour of the country that Israel's dangerous game in Syria consists in getting in bed in a hot oil massage bed with Al-Qaeda in order to fight the Shia Iran. Syria continues to ignore U.S. warnings that it cease unilateral military activity in the southwest. Who is the U.S. to tell the Syrians what to do in the Syrians' own country? What if Mexico invaded Texas? I mean, which would be pretty laughable, but let's just use our imaginations here. What if Mexico invaded the U.S., and then the U.S. forces and the Texas people began to fight back? And then the international community, let's say China or Russia, and the international community says, no, United States, you are to cease all unilateral military activity in your southwest borders. What do you think we would do? Would we say, you know what, you're right. We're going to let the Mexicans build a fortress, build bunkers, build bases, build forward operating zones directly within our border. We're going to make sure that they have full operational capability within our border, and we're not going to do nothing. Or are we going to do everything in our power to restore territorial integrity back to our country? Of course, we will do everything we can to restore our borders. So why is it a problem when Syria decides to do so? Like, who do we think we are? Who do we think we are? It's ridiculous. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, who has been riding high on the hog, on the kosher hog, after winning another victory because of the simple fact that he has kept his population as distracted as possible, and God knows whatever corruption is going on in Israel to get this nut job elected for another term. Benjamin Netanyahu, he's the herpes in international politics. He's the guy that simply does not go away. He's annoying. He's an itch. He's an inflammatory irritant on the world stage, and he is a flare-up. He is all those things wrapped up in one annoying package. Benjamin Netanyahu. So Netanyahu's top priority remains deterring Iran and Hezbollah in Syria, especially penetration of these forces near the Israeli border, which he's called a red line. He's always out there with a marker, drawing red lines everywhere he goes, CJ. Everywhere he goes. Red lines. This is the red line. This is the red line. Of course, this is the red line. Israel must defend itself. I got to work on my Netanyahu impersonation. I'll get it one day. Something also invoked during Israel's massive airstrikes on Damascus and other locations in May. Syrian army's ongoing push in Daraa was no doubt a key topic of discussion during Netanyahu's Monday visit to King Abdullah of Jordan. Notice, Mr. J. Crew War Collection is heading to Jordan, CJ. Did you know that?
Jared to the rescue.
Yeah, Jared J. Crew War Collection is heading out over there. Yeah. The Kush. He knows everything about peace process and doing deals. The Kush. The first public meeting between the two leaders since 2014. Last week, Abdullah blasted Iran for what he described as interferences in Arab affairs and policies that harm the principle of good neighborliness. King Abdullah, who is a corrupt, fat, bloated bastard, who's just a puppet. He's such a lackey, it's not even funny. He's such a lackey. Blasting Iran for coming to the aid of Syria to get rid of basically Western intelligence-backed terrorist organizations. As the war for Syria's southwest heats up, and as Damascus continues to muster what is reported to be massive forces in preparation for the final major offensive, the potential for more Israeli or U.S. and Western allied intention remains very high. And so this is the situation. Okay. that is happening here. Moscow does not want any jihadist forces working with Israel or the U.S. to retain territory in Syria, rightfully so. Russia is not aiming for a partial victory in the Levant. Now, that useful part of Syria, the most populated geographic area of the country, is liberated, and with the exception of the north. This is why the south becomes a necessity that must be liberated. Russia has bigger plans in the Levant. During my visit to the city of Palmyra and its surroundings, the presence of thousands of Russian troops is striking, indicating that Moscow is sending new infantry and special forces in very large numbers. This large presence has not been announced. This could also indicate that Russia does not want the U.S. to maintain a long-term sphere of influence in Syria, and also wants to remain the only force in Syria as its sphere of influence. See, Russia's actually invited to be there. They were invited. They're legally allowed to be there, unlike the U.S. Who the hell called the U.S. to be there? CJ, who invited us?
I don't think anyone would be. We weren't invited.
So, CJ, if the deep state is dying, CJ, what the hell is the deep state doing in Syria?
You know, again, we just renewed funding for the White Helmets, and we know with their activities. So I just leaves you scratching your head, V.
But doesn't QAnon say to trust the plan?
He does. He says trust the plan. Past equals present. Get ready. Boom, boom, boom. I think this is the fourth week of boom, boom, boom.
This is more boom, boom, boom. I guess that's what the boom, boom is. Is the White Helmets being funded? I guess that's what it is, huh? So the deep state's being dealt a death blow. They're just magically popping up in Syria. Magically, the U.S. is once again funding the Soros created White Helmets. Soros' Open Society Foundation to help create White Helmets. So why is the U.S. spending money on the White Helmets? I thought, according to Q, Soros is an enemy, right? He's supposed to be like, what's going on? Do you see what I'm saying, man? I know you get it, bro. And I know a lot of people that are listening to this program get it. This is a Pied Piper operation, this whole QAnon nonsense, man. All right. Russia and Turkey consider the U.S. as the biggest threat in Syria because of the regime change intention, the partition project the U.S. is capable of promoting, and the desire to create for the Kurds a special entity, not for the love of the Kurds, but to keep pressure on both Ankara and Damascus. Okay, what the U.S. is doing is the most stupidest foreign policy blunder in history. When we look back in this period of time, they will look back at the U.S. foreign policy and see it for what it is. It is the biggest colossal blunder in human history. You have a nomadic group called the Kurds, who historically never had a homeland. There are Kurds everywhere in every stinking part of the Middle East. There are Kurds in Bahrain, there's Kurds in Yemen, there's Kurds in Iran, there's Kurds in Iraq, and there's Kurds in Syria, and there's Kurds in Iraq, UAE. There's Kurds everywhere. There's freaking Kurds in Germany, man.
Yep.
So what are the German Kurds going to do? Yeah, we want our own land from Deutschland. We want our own Kurdistan. And the Germans will be like, nein! Okay, we will rape your women. I mean, do you see the craziness? So you're giving a nomadic people that historically had no land anywhere at any time, and you're giving them land that you're magically creating the borders for, in between Iraq, who hates them, in between Syria, who can't stand them, and who in between Turkey, who vehemently wants to wipe them off the face of the earth. And you think that if you create your little Kurdistan, you're going to keep pressure on Damascus, and you're going to keep pressure on Turkey, and you're going to have some sort of another forward operating base to have your greater Persian ideas, your Persian aspirations in check. Like, you'd be able to pressure them as well. Well, I got news for you guys. The only thing that would happen from day one, when they, if they create this Kurdistan, which I don't think is going to happen, it'll be the biggest colossal blunder, it will be destroyed in a matter of a day, in a matter of hours. You will have Syria, you'll have Turkey, you'll have Iran, you'll have Iraq, you'll have everybody striking Kurdistan to wipe it off the face of the earth. But this is how short-sighted the U.S. foreign policy is. Why? Because U.S. foreign policy is not made by some of the smartest dudes that we've ever had, which was during the Cold War. Back when W was doing his thing. It's not those guys anymore. It's a new set of morons. It's a new set of idiots. It's not the smart guys. It's not the A team. This is like the F team. They're failures. They're ne'er-do-wells. They've gotten there because they spent their time in academia, not in the actual field work. They don't know about the cultures. They don't know about the dynamics. They don't know about the nuances. They don't know really about the history of the entire region. They don't get the people. They read about it in some book that somebody else wrote who also has never spent any time in the Middle East. They don't get it. So thus, Damascus is working with its allies to liberate the South without no hesitation, free from any influence or threats of any magnitude, because the time has come to end Al-Qaeda and ISIS in the South first, so that the army can move towards the eastern desert and concentrate on the U.S. Turkish occupation forces in the north. And this is the situation. This is the situation that's being faced here.
Yeah, B, it's go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
No, I was just going to state that, yeah, with this whole involvement, you know, we keep saying time after time, this is it, final coming to conclusion. You know, we have Russia putting out information regarding they are preparing for another type of false flag event, you know, in Syria, probably more than likely to warrant Israel more airstrikes and everything else. I mean, how long have we been in this mode with Syria and everything? Is it coming up on 2, 3, 4 years? I'm losing track, V, but my gosh, you know, we were hoping that at this point that they would come to an agreement to, you know, remove any type of operation of U.S. forces to align Israel to understand that at this point that no one's going and taking over their country and that their national sovereignty would be protected, but yet we keep being these agitators in Syria and really keeping it from any type of forward progress, which I'm hoping that this comes to a conclusion this year. However, when we hear and we read of funding for the White Helmets, we read about Pompeo coming out and insisting that Vladimir Putin reel in Bashar Assad to honor these quote unquote safe havens for these terrorists. It leaves us wondering, V.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And what else is Exceptional Stand doing? I thought the deep state is dead. Well, here's the next news. This is from our guys over at Consortium. Pentagon expands its provocation encirclement of China. The U.S. just changed its decades long name, U.S. Pacific Command, into the Indo-PACOM. It went from PACOM, Pacific Command, to Indo-PACOM, which is Indo-Pacific Command. The name change, as General Mattis was explaining, it reflects the increasing connectivity between the Indian and Pacific Oceans, as well as Washington's determination to remain the dominant power in both. They're again encircling China, again putting pressure on the South China Seas. And they're like, well, the Chinese are militarizing the South China Seas. Yeah, they took 8 islands. 6 to 8 islands. They're building it out. Why? If you've been following me for a while, I've written about this many times. I've spoken about this many times. It's about the Strait of Malacca. It's about the fact that the vast majority of Chinese energy shipments go through the Strait of Malacca. The U.S. military, the U.S. Navy could quickly and rapidly shut down the Strait of Malacca. China cannot afford that. It is to keep it strategically open at all times. Okay? Has nothing to do with global desire of supremacy that China has. It doesn't. But the U.S. wants to make sure that there's no rival that could rise up to challenge them. So now they're Indo-Pac. So the U.S. is going to be meddling in the Indian Ocean. I think I don't think the Indian Navy will like that too much. And they're going to be meddling in the South China Sea, and I sure as hell don't think that the Chinese are going to like that much. And these are the things that are happening, folks. These are the things that are happening. They're saying, oh, there's many belts and many roads. The U.S. is saying there shouldn't be just one way of trade. Many ways to trade. Who got some good trade agreements? Who? Pray tell. And every single person they're putting together after this name change is Rear Admiral Harris. Right? This guy this guy just ridiculous. And the new guy that replaced Harris was Davidson. Same thing. They're ready to confront China when we must. You see, what is the message that's being perceived here? Like, what is this constant? You see, when you're in a debt-based economy like we are, when you have central bankers calling the shots, and that is the problem with the United States, it's about keeping the dollar fraud going. And I'm sorry, if the president of the United States does not challenge the fraud that is the dollar, does not pull back the curtain on the international bankers, does not audit the Federal Reserve for what it is and expose it to the world for what it should be, then everything that has been done, folks, from here on out is just biding time for the inevitable. This is what I keep telling you, folks, that you cannot look for leadership to save you. Good leadership in this system can only do so much, given the fact the system is an absolute megalithic monster. Therefore, it is up to you to take the torch of liberty and run. It is up to you to continue to proselytize your friends, family, and neighbors to the realities and the wakings of the world and what is going on internationally. They don't understand. If you come up to them and say, hey, here's the deal, man. They on the planet Mars, there's a colony of reptiles that are shapeshifters. You go to them with that information, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. You go at them with any other information. Heck, you can even go to them with actual factual information like, yo, 9/11 was an inside job. Everything about 9/11 was a scam. You've been gamed, you've been conned. You might wake up a few with that, but most people will look at you like you're crazy. You're one of those truthers. And even though you could obliterate them with the facts, they don't get it. Why? Because they're under a spell. The American population is under a spell. What is that spell? Well, I'll tell you what that spell is. If I open up my wallet, okay, if I open up my wallet over here, CJ, and I take out this crinkled paper, America is under the spell of this paper, this cotton-made paper called the dollar. And when you open up the dollar and you put it under a microscope, you see all this occult symbology on that dollar. You see all these talismans on the dollar. See, Americans are absolutely glamorized by the dollar. So you have to break the power of the dollar. How do you break the power of the purse? Because most of your friends and family thinks that their lifestyle is perpetual. It will go on forever and ever and ever and ever. That's what they'll think. They'll go on forever without any change whatsoever, right?
Right.
But as soon as you tell them, hey, guess what, guys? Here's how you wake up your friends and family. Here's the deal. Internationally, you start telling them about the new Silk Road. You start telling them about the changes that are happening in China and Russia. You start telling them about the fact that the dollar is about to collapse. The economy's not that great. Here's the real unemployment numbers. Here's the real Here's the real food stamp numbers. Here's the real metric. Here's the real macro data of what's going on here. And here's the real facts of what's going on internationally. You talk about de-dollarized. You talk about the fact that the dollar is losing preeminence. You talk about the fact the petrodollar is at the end, and their way of life, as they knew it, is about to change. All of a sudden, now they're listening.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Right. Because every single American, I don't care who the hell you are, you care about what's in your wallet. And it ain't Capital One. You care about what's in your wallet. You care about what's in your bank account. You care because you know what? The only language that every single human being understands is money. That's why I created Rogue Money. That's why I became the guerrilla economist. Because it's the only way to get through to people. I can't get through you religiously. I can't get through you spiritually. I can't get through you with conspiracies. I can't get through you with foreign policy. I can't get through to you. But if I tell you your way of life is going to change economically, now you're listening. Now I got your attention. Now you're paying attention. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And when we start doing things where we're surrounding China, we're provoking China, we're doing shenanigans in Syria, pray tell, at what point, at where did the deep state go away? They look just as healthy to me. For the love of God, CJ just said the friggin' white helmets are refunded again. And CJ, can we talk about who's really influencing North Korea? Go for it, bro.
Well, real quick, because I think that's important. We got London Paul coming up at 10V, but I want to piggyback off a little bit of what you said, because I think it's just very important that we understand of how quickly the things are evolving. The world is changing. I read a report yesterday that the month of May saw a 97% decrease in China investing in the United States. That was the worst, and I believe it said, the article went on to say, like 8 or 9 years, the worst month that China. You know, we read the other day that the Russia cashed in on over 50% of their holdings of treasuries of bonds in the U.S. I mean, the writing's on the wall, and my concern is this. My concern is this, and my perspective is this, and is that I think when we look at the amount of time, the amount of emotional energy that is being placed specifically on Inspector Horowitz and reviews and paperwork and investigations and testimonies and all this, it really serves as a great distraction of things that are truly happening politically around us. And because so many people are tuned in day after day of the next step, of what's going to happen, when I listen to the majority of the Horowitz testimony, what I'm going to gather is that no one is going to get prosecuted. I think what we will see there'll be a conduct or some type of a job performance. There'll be a slap on the wrist on these things, and they're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep recycling the same, next conspiracy. So they just recycled the email investigation. They're going to recycle the Russia investigation. They're going to recycle all these things as a major distraction from the information that's truly happening geopolitically, that is probably far more important. And that is the fact that the world is moving away from the dollar. And they're going to do everything that they can to try to preserve that, which that's the reason why we change our posture against China. So in part, that's why it's so important that our listeners, that you share this information to get people to understand that, instead of spending so much time looking internally at the U.S. political, which is a complete circus right now, it truly is. They're running the divide and conquer right now better than they did with Obama, with this whole border and the kids and everything. Think about that. It's a wonderful wag the dog of the events that are happening. And if they keep us arguing with each other, they keep us focused on these things here, politically, then these things that are occurring around the globe, that these major changes, in part, is leading up to what's happening right now with Korea. And that's the fact that, Kim Jong-un just had his third meeting with Xi Jinping in China. And when you think of the influence of really what's happening on the peninsula, you're going to see potentially a North and South Korea that is going to be under the majority of influence from China. not from the U.S. And it's a very dangerous game right now, because with the political pressure that's occurring from the Pentagon on China and their influence over North Korea, then what happens? I mean, I would like to think that we allow Xi Jinping to say, hey, listen, Kim, knock it off, denuclearize. We're going to help redevelop your country. We're going to modernize you guys. We're going to do all these wonderful things. But will the U.S. be willing to allow that to happen under the influence of the One Belt, One Road V? That's what it boils down to.
Exactly. And the best thing that could happen is for us to be part of the One Belt, One Road, part of a global community of mutually beneficial trade. But we'll see what happens with the curmudgeons, man. Anyway, Siege, what else you want to cover before London Paul comes in?
Let's close it out. I want to get ready for Paul, because I know he's going to talk specifically about some of these topics, and I just love his ability to break things, to articulate things, and I want to get ready for London Paul.
Perfect. And with that being said, folks, we're over and out. Take it away, CJ.